Welcome to ChunkSmash, my chunk-locked Ironman. After 400 hours of my starter chunk, last episode I finally escaped south into the Lumbridge Swamp, before heading east into the exotic wonders of Al-Kharid. But with the desert comes new dangers, new chunk tasks, and potential 1,000-hour grinds. What's in store next for ChunkSmash? Watch on to find out. Alright, let's do the classic chunk tour. I'll put the chunk up on the screen, and unlike the last time I said that, this time I'll actually do it. Probably. We've unlocked the south half of Al-Kharid, which is pretty cool. I have to enter it by the southern gate, which is a diary task apparently, and there's a few key NPCs to go over. There's the kebab seller, who sells kebabs, unsurprisingly. And just for 1 GP, which is a bargain. And there's also a range, which is definitely the closest range to a bank I have until I complete Cook's Assistant in God knows how many chunks. I can get as far north as Ellis the Tanner, who can tan hides for me, which is a great segue into my first chunk task, which is to make hard leather armor, my new best in slot range gear. I can't go any further north, but I can visit this scimitar guy. Sadly, in RS3 all the weapons are basically the same, so there's no real advantage to using these versus the Eddie axes beyond cosmetics. I have my second lodestone, which is cool. I have an Al-Kharid safe, for safe cracking, which is why I need level 69 thieving. Classic. I have a crafting store, but I think it's irrelevant because this stuff all starts in your tool belt these days in RS3. Ali Morrisane, everyone's favourite NPC vendor, is sadly just 1 chunk to the north. Okay, one thing that is relevant is Louis, purveyor of Louis's Legs, who sells adamant plate legs, my best in slot for melee. That's a chunk task done. I can also buy adamant plate skirts from the shop next door, which I'll also do because I can. Now, I can access the sorceress's house down here, but I cannot enter the sorceress's garden. There's actually multiple requirements to be able to play this minigame, and I fulfill precisely none of them. Lastly, Shanty's Pass is also out of reach, and you can't enter most of the palace until starting the desert questline, which, confusingly, starts in Draenor. Okay, so to summarize, I have 3 main chunk goals, 1 skilling and 2 best in slot. I need level 69 thieving for the desert safe cracking, and then the 2 best in slot tasks, which is to wear adamant plate legs, already done, and wear full hard leather armor, which requires level 28 crafting, which I already have, so I just need to get the cow hides and tan them. Future Smash here. It's not going to be relevant this episode because I'm not doing clues, but Southern Al-Kharid also opens up 3 new easy clue opportunities for me if I do start farming them again, which would almost double my efficiency. There's this chest in the Al-Kharid Palace, there's a clue to speak to Ellis the Tanner, and there's a clue to speak to Zeke, the scimitar salesman. They're all classified as simple clues, which, if you remember my clue research from episode 2, is the worst type of clue step. Basically, there's 4 types of easy clue, and there's a 25% chance of getting each type, but then once you select a clue type, you then randomly roll for a specific clue step within that type. There's something like 100 simple clues, compared to more like 10 or so for the other clue types, making each individual simple clue step much less likely than, say, a map step or an emote step. Anyway, let's get on with the chunk. First level of the grind is going to be 65 thieving. And here's level 66 thieving. I mean, I missed the level, but only just. If you're wondering about my method, I'm doing safe cracking, but with only 1 safe and without having done the mini quest. If you're wondering if this method is fast, then no. It's not. Don't be fooled by the 64 kxp per hour in the XP tracker. It's more like 10 to 15 kxp per hour, which is about half as efficient as Master Farmers at 30 kxp per hour. But here's the thing. Let me introduce you to ChunkSmash's theory of RuneScape efficiency. It hasn't been published in any academic papers yet, so please keep it to yourself for now. You see, the most efficient skilling method in RuneScape isn't the method with the highest theoretical XP per hour. The most efficient method is the one that you do. Pickpocketing Master Farmers is twice the XP per hour as safe cracking, but pickpocketing Master Farmers makes me want to kill myself. It's terrible. I'm constantly failing and getting stunned, sometimes 5 or 6 times in a row. I have to watch my HP or watch my hardcore status. The seed rewards are insultingly bad, but I still feel pressure to bank them. So basically, I don't actually end up doing Master Farmers. I log on with the intention of pickpocketing Master Farmers, but after 20 minutes, I give up, log off RuneScape, and go do literally anything else. But safe cracking is 100% AFK. You might think, but Smash, you have to listen to the game sounds and click on the save to crack each dial. Wrong. I mean, well, not wrong, you can do that and it is faster, but you don't have to. You can just click on the save once, then come back in 10 minutes and your guy will have cracked it anyway, and the save's reset by then. Like, you can literally get away with clicking 6 times per hour with this method. It is stunningly AFK. And because it's AFK, it means I can do it all the time. Maybe I'm cooking dinner, some bolognese. Well, I boot RuneScape up on my phone and start safe cracking. Go cut some onions and garlic, and by the time I'm done, I've cracked one save for 2,500 XP. Then I go fry the mince. Add some passata, some basil, oregano, maybe a dash of red wine if I'm feeling fancy. By the time I'm done, yeah, you guessed it, that's another 2,500 thieving XP. Let the bolognese simmer, start on the pasta, don't forget to salt the boiling water, obviously, and perfect, 10 minutes later, I have 2,500 more thieving XP and the best spaghetti bolognese you've ever tasted. I guess my point is, don't be fooled by theoretical efficiency. It's like a lot of things in life, the best plan is the plan you're actually prepared to stick to. Wait, this isn't safe cracking. Why are there goblins in the lumbered swamp? Never fear, all things will be explained in time. Last episode, we explored a forgotten minigame. This episode, we're going to cover RuneScape's forgotten mini-boss, Hollowtooth. It's time to discuss Goblin Raids, a free-to-play minigame that was released back in 2012. In case you've forgotten, that was the year the world was supposed to end. I guess it didn't, which is a shame, because if it had, I wouldn't have to do Goblin Raids. Every 30 minutes, there's a server-wide message announcing the next location of a Goblin Raid. Most of these locations I can't get to, but one of them, the Southeast Lumbridge Mine, I can. If you're thinking, that's weird, I've never seen this notification, it's because this minigame is irrelevant and is muted by default. You can turn the notifications on by going to your settings. The first stage of the minigame is the Goblin Raiders, which are actually proving to be harder to kill than I expected. That's embarrassing, and I'm going to need to come back with food. Once you kill 10 Goblin Raiders, you get to fight their boss, Hollowtooth. As you can see, he's also actually pretty tough, and is kicking my butt. Luckily, I have a cunning plan, running back to the bank to restock on food mid-fight. So, with a little bit of perseverance and a lot of cakes, Hollowtooth falls and the boss is defeated. But why? What's the point? Well, these dwarves will give you a small reward, based on the location being raided, in my case some stone spirits, but the real prize is Hollowtooth's loot. Hollowtooth has a rare chance to drop good raider equipment, and as I'm doing this voiceover, I've just realised that's how a goblin would spell the word good. Okay. Anyway, there's 3 pieces, the Good Raider Axe, Good Raider Chain Body, and Good Raider Shield, with each piece being a 1 in 512 drop. This gear is, perhaps unsurprisingly given its name, good. Each piece is tier 55 and sits somewhere in between rune and dragon equipment in power level. It's actually the strongest non-degradable gear available in free-to-play, and I can get it in my chunk. Now, this is not a chunk task, and I'm not going to grind these items out because it falls under one of the exceptions discussed in my first episode, time-gated chunk tasks. You can only do one raid every 30 minutes, and it's in one of 12 random locations, which can't be known in advance. So, on average, I'd have to play 6 hours just to see one doable raid, and then I'm chasing 3 drops with a 1 in 512 drop rate. It would take 3,702 hours of in-game time just to get one drop, and probably longer to get all 3. Nevertheless, if I see a raid, I will at least try to do it. And if someone knows a way of farming these events, let me know in the comments. If you were able to know when and where the event was occurring ahead of time, then grinding out the gear does become a lot more feasible. It's just my second attempt at Hollowtooth, and a little bit better than the first one, but no dice. just regular radio equipment. I'll probably stop showing these clips unless I get something. Alright, just a few pickpockets to go until we get level 69 thieving. I thought I'd finish it over at the Alcarid Guards because it seems a bit more thematic with my chunk. And there you go, level 69 thieving. And no, I'm not going to make a big deal about the number, it's not that funny. I mean, Jesus, grow up people. YouTube Analytics says most of you are 30. Boom! Chunk task done. This Alcarid safe gives more XP than the Lumbridge one, and I could potentially bounce between the two if I need to get thieving XP faster in the future. Obviously it's less AFK if I'm running back to Lumbridge, but it's still pretty AFK, and it would be like twice as much XP as just doing one. Alright, I've got a full inventory of cowhides, and it's time to make some hard leather armor. The leather armor I got last chunk did not last long as best in slot. Our leather armor is strictly better, and that's it. Chunk task done. Let's take a look at it. Pretty cool, and that is, yeah, that's the whole chunk done. Time to get back to the chunk picker. Alright, we are back in the chunk picker. We have two new rollable chunks opened up to us. We have the Shanty Pass chunk, the main unlock here, which I would expect to be basically a free chunk, but it does put us dangerously close to the Calphite Queen, which, well, would not be a free chunk, let's just put it that way. And then we've also opened up the chunk east of Alcarid, which would also be a free chunk, for now. But eventually, this chunk is going to be huge. It has the Zerosian Archaeology dig site, which is currently unavailable to me. You have to do the archaeology tutorial at the Rock dig site first before you can do any archaeology training. I haven't really talked, or to be honest, even thought about how to handle archaeology on a chunk account just because the grind is so far away. But potentially it's super punitive because you might be forced to grind all the way to say level 120, but without any way of handing artifacts in or getting any benefit from the skill, which does seem a bit harsh. But anyway, that's a problem for Future Smash. Speaking of problems for Future Smash, let's talk about the other potentially account-ending grind in this chunk. Ripper Demons. Ripper Demons are a level 96 Slayer monster, and I am Slayer locked. Which is good, but if for any reason I become unslayer locked, that's a potentially enormous grind to get 96 Slayer. I mean, just huge, especially because my Slayer training methods will probably be garbage. But wait, it gets worse. You see, once I get the Slayer level, Ripper Demons have several uniques, including a 1 in 30,000 drop rate for the Ripper Demon pet. Yes, you heard that right. Not 1 in 3,000, not 1 in 10,000, 1 in 30,000. I don't even know if I can kill a Ripper Demon with the gear available to me. Maybe if I could safe spot them, but even if I can, it would take several minutes per demon. Again, a problem for Future Smash, but possibly a less distant one than archaeology. I'm only one chunk away from re-unlocking Slayer, and as far as I can tell, then once I do that, even according to a vanilla chunk rule set, this will unlock the Ripper Demon grind, which is probably at least 2,000 hours just to get the drop, not even to get the Slayer level. This is by far the worst death chunk nearby, like it's just apocalyptically bad, once you factor in all the future grinds it unlocks. Anyway, that's enough panicking because it might not happen. Time to roll. Oh, the tension. Still don't want the defense cape chunk either. Oh, it's Shanty Pass! Wow, I'm really following Limpwert's footsteps here, just beelining for the Calphite Queen.
Alright, let's check out our new chunk. Wow, I do at least unlock some new music tracks with this chunk. That's pretty cool. I will once again put the chunk on screen so you can take a look at it. Firstly, we have Shanty himself, who runs a shop. And he sells feathers. So I did say that I would unbacklog the golden fish eggs once I have a reliable source of feathers, and now I do. So they're going back on the chunk list. Next up we have Irina, who starts the Tourist Trap quest. We have a rug merchant, who I can't use yet because he would take me out of my chunk. Now, it's a little hard to see the borders of my chunk within the desert because there's not exactly many landmarks. But I think I can go as far east as the top of this hill, roughly. I don't think the exact line matters that much. I can go a bit south and a bit west into the desert, but it doesn't really matter because as you can see on the minimap, I just can't go far enough to make much relevant. The next thing to mention is that I can access both Ukthanki Camels and Desert Wolves, two new monsters, and the Ukthanki Camels are relevant. So let's start talking about new chunk tasks. I have one skilling task, level 58 cooking to make an Ukthanki kebab. I already had access to pita bread previously, but because of my rule set around only needing to make completed items, I didn't have to do it. Now I can make the final kebab though, I'll need that level. I'll also need to have level 70 constitution to get the maximum amount of healing from the kebab, but I already have level 73 constitution anyway. I have one quest that I can start but not finish, Tourist Trap, and I have a handful of diary tasks. I also have 2 old tasks that are making a comeback, the golden fish eggs. Now that I can buy feathers in Shanty's shop, I don't have an excuse to not go for these. I'll need both the golden trout and golden salmon eggs before I can move on. First up, let's get the Tourist Trap task done. I can start the quest at Irina, whose daughter Anna has been kidnapped. She wants me to find her, and then I just need to follow her tracks down as far south as I'm allowed. Which I think is here. I've checked the map, and this big cactus is as far as I can go, so sorry Anna, you're gonna have to hang tight as a kidnapped forced labourer in a desert mining camp for a little bit longer. She'll be fine, she's a tough cookie. Okay, so the first thing I'll do is buy 10,000 feathers. Nope, I do not have that much money, so I guess 8k feathers? Well, let's start using these I guess. First level of the grind, and that's level 65 fishing. Ooh, it's a golden egg! The first of the golden eggs! It's the golden salmon egg! Oh my god, it's real. That's what, like, just 600 feathers in? I was so close! Oh no, I was like that mining guy in the meme who stops before he hits diamonds. But you know, with fish eggs. I feel kind of bad it happened just 600 feathers after I backlogged it. Actually, I did 300 feathers last episode, so more like 1,000 feathers after I backlogged it. Still pretty cool. Let's keep going. Oh, for fuck's sake. I got Bubbles, the fishing pet, before I got the second golden fish egg. That's insane. Like, genuinely. What are the chances of getting the pet before the egg? That is crazy. I have 491k fishing XP. Well, Woody, your time in the spotlight was short-lived.
Oh, it's Kunik. They say congrats. Thanks, Kunik. I love that I got the pet before the eggs. Lol. Wait, where did they go? They just turned up and disappeared. Wait, hold on. What just happened? I get the pet, then Kunik just turns up 5 seconds later. How did they get there so fast? Were they just waiting by the Lumbridge fishing spot in a different world? What an absolute legend. They just turn up, dressed like a Christmassy Donnie Darko, drop an encouraging comment, and then just instantly leave like a motivational random event. Amazing stuff. Just amazing. Alright, let's take a look at Bubbles. We'll need to send Woody home. Sorry, Woody. And I do think I have Bubbles on my regular Ironman. I remember him being pretty cool. Oh yeah, he's like a magic anglerfish. He's pretty cute. He'll be a fine companion for the rest of the fish egg grind. Plus, did you know that when you speak to him, he has secret wisdom? It finally happened. I wasn't even recording, but we did it. The golden trout egg. It took 3,385 feathers beyond my original 5,320. So that's almost 9k feathers in total, and we are done. No more fishing for probably a long time. And now the next grind is to get 59 cooking, I think, to make a kebab. I love how the kebab guy is just staring at me, judgmentally, as I cook literally thousands of trout in his kitchen. His whole livelihood is selling kebabs, and I'm just using his cooker to learn how to make my own. That is cold. I mean, I bet that guy has children, a family. He sells kebabs for 1 GP each. He's probably eyeballs deep in debt paying off a loan he took out trying to start this restaurant, the dream job he wanted since he was a kid.
Anyway, that's level 49 cooking, and now I can make an Axeman's Folly, whatever that is. And here we are. This inventory of trout is going to be level 59 cooking in just a minute. And boom, level 59 cooking, and I can now make pita bread. In fact, I could already make pita bread one level ago. I am very dumb. Alright, let's make that kebab. I can get the flour from the ham hideout. I have the Ukthanki meat in the bank from earlier. I also have a tomato. I will still need an onion though. Alright, I burnt the Ukthanki meat. Not a great start. I'm back with 2 more. And I don't burn these. Fantastic. I can steal an onion from the vegetable stall in the Lumbridge. Chop the onion. Use that with the tomato to make an onion and tomato mix. Use that with the Ukthanki meat to make a kebab mix. And then I decide to come back to the kebab seller to make the final kebab. Right in front of him. The final insult. Cook the pita bread. I don't even think it's possible to burn it. Use the pita bread with the kebab mix, and there you go. An Ukthanki kebab. And wait for this. I'm going to buy a kebab off this poor guy. Now look, mine scales up to level 70 constitution. It's better. It's superior to his kebab in every way. It took me like 4 hours to learn how to make a better kebab than you ever will, Karim. You know what? This is probably why your kids don't talk to you anymore. More seriously, this is my best in-slot food. It's pretty involved to make, so I'm not sure how many kebabs I'll actually ever end up making. But if I do get the Calphite Queen next, then maybe I'll make some of these. It's an option at any rate. Final bit of task cleanup is some diary tasks. I need to wear full desert robes in the desert, and I need to fill up a water skin from a cactus. Oh, you can fail it, turns out. Alright, second time lucky, and boom, /fund, chunk task done. And that's it. All the tasks are done, and for the second time this episode, we're back to the chunk picker. Alrighty, we've returned, and we have 8 possible chunks we can roll from, including 3 new ones. Chunk 6 contains the Calphite Queen, which opens up a fairly brutal grind for the Calphite Queen pet, although it would give me access to my first dragon items, which is pretty cool. Chunk 7 has a Dominion Tower, which is a minigame where you can fight quest bosses you previously defeated. I haven't defeated any, so I don't think I can interact much with that minigame yet, so it's kind of a free chunk, I think. Chunk 8 is the Desert Mining Camp. This lets me continue the next steps of the Tourist Trap quest, but more interestingly, it also has a level 70 mining grind attached for Nechrite ore, as well as unlocking mithril bars, meaning I can smith myself a full mithril set of armor. Stop. Future Smash here. I actually failed in my initial research, specifically for Chunk 6. The real enemy waiting for me in the Calphite Hive is not the Calphite Queen, the infamous level 333 monster who's been murdering RuneScape's would-be heroes for the best part of 20 years. It's this. Yes, this. That is a potato cactus. You see, I've been able to largely dodge herbal grinds because I said in episode 1 that I would only consider complete items for chunk tasks. I have access to high level herbs like dwarfweed for my first chunk. They drop from men and women. I've avoided needing level 70 herbal ore to make an unfinished dwarfweed potion because I only consider completed potions, and the only completed potion I can make is a magic potion at a more modest level 5. I mean, I'll be honest, I also did some maths and worked out I need to kill about 500,000 men and women to get the herbs needed for level 70 before starting the account, and like, no one needs an out on their conscience, okay? So, the completed item rule killed 2 birds with 1 stone. It was a neat justification for avoiding a 1,000-hour grind, and I actually think it's a good rule in general. It avoids several punishing skilling grinds that don't even benefit the account, like making masterwork rivets at 99 smithing as soon as you get a steel bar. Anyway, back to the potato cactus. I can combine a potato cactus with a Lander Time potion to make a complete, drinkable magic potion at level 76 herbal ore. In fact, it's worse than this. Calphite Guardians also drop defense potions. I can add a Grimy Lander Time to a defense potion to
to make an extreme defense potion at level 90 Herblore. I'm gonna be honest. Unless I have some breakthrough in my Herblore training methods, I will almost certainly need to backlog this if I get it. My best current Herblore training would be killing men and women for like a few hundred XP per hour. It's just not feasible. The only question is how to backlog it or make it passive. I normally look to the big OSRS chunk accounts for inspiration on how to handle stuff like this, but that's not really a help here. As far as I know, no OSRS YouTuber has unlocked Herblore, because you need to complete the Druidic Ritual quest before you can train it. But that hasn't been true in Runescape 3 since 2012. You know, that's also the year they released Squeal of Fortune. I joked about this earlier, but maybe it really would have been better if the world had just ended instead.
Woohoo! Extra spin for the win!
Anyway, let me know in the comments what you guys think about the Herblore for this account. At the end of the day, I'll make the decision that's right for me and my account, but I really do appreciate the feedback from you guys. Alright, let's get back to the roll. I'm a little nervous, I'll be honest. There's a lot of death chunks. The Caradet dig site. Okay. Well. It's not a death chunk yet, but oh boy, could it become one. For now though, I think it is just an empty chunk, but I will go and look at it. Okay, I'm in the chunk. I've unlocked a new music track. I'll put the chunk map up on the screen in post-production. There's a shortcut down here to the Ripper Demon Cave. Sadly, it doesn't have a requirement, so I can use it. I can go into this dark tunnel. It says it's dangerous, but actually, it isn't. Ripper Demons aren't aggressive if you have more than half your health left. But these guys are no joke. I mean, they mean business. Even on my regular Ironman with tier 90 gear, invention and max combat stats, these guys pack a punch. If I fully unlock Slayer, then having to get a 1 in 30k drop from these guys would be a disaster. I mean, I don't even know how I'd be able to kill them, if I'm able to kill them. Maybe they're safe spottable. I actually kind of hope that it's impossible to kill them, because then I guess I wouldn't have to. And I think I'm just one chunk away from unlocking Slayer, so yeah. Not a problem right now, but a problem for later. Elsewhere, I can reach the Zerosian dig site and speak to Dr. Nabanik, who acts like he knows me. I can't do anything here without doing the archaeology tutorial up in a rock, which I think is like a minimum of 5 chunk rolls away, which is basically forever for a chunk account. You don't really get to think that many chunks ahead when you're surrounded by death chunks. There's one more thing here, Desert Strike Worms, another Slayer monster which... Oh fuck me, run away! Run away. I can summon them, but I do not have the Slayer level to kill them. Much less of an issue than Ripper Demons though. Wow, this guy just saved my chunk integrity. He stopped me entering the Abbey, which is like the next chunk across. I would have needed to restart the account, obviously, but I think that's a good segue into the border of this chunk. It's this wall right here that I just tried to run through in a blind panic. So I can't get into the Abbey. All I have here is the Strikeworm area, and I can't interact with them in a meaningful way yet. So, on to the next chunk roll. Alright, so there's 2 new chunks. We have chunk 8, which contains the Cythereid Abbey and the One Piercing Note quest. One Piercing Note is an absolutely wonderful standalone quest that introduces the lore behind the Ripper Demons we just talked about. It doesn't progress the account much, but it would be a great chunk to roll. Chunk 9 is Hets Oasis. This is a super interesting chunk. Hets Oasis replaced the Drill Arena back in 2022. It has an agility course, which I'd unlock at level 65, and a farming method I'd unlock at level 30. I don't think I'd be able to access either of those yet though, because I don't have a primary training method to train those skills. It also has a hunting method where you catch whirly gigs, and this is unlocked from level 1 and scales to level 90. I've never done whirly gigs, but the wiki seems to indicate that catching the higher level whirly gigs has a farming prerequisite, so I might not be able to catch the higher level ones. Either way, it is at least an interesting chunk with a lot of content. And let's roll it. I have been dodging death chunks for so long, but eventually it's gonna happen. Northern Alcarid. Skill task, 99 Constitution. Best in slot, the Constitution Cape. I mean, I did say I would treat this as a passive task, because unlike the Defense Cape, it was just too memey. I still hold to that. I was really hoping I'd roll one of the big combat grinds like Cowfight Queen first, so that I get a lot of combat XP passively, and then maybe I'd be close to level 99 HP anyway, but I guess that's not to be. Okay, I messed up and wasn't recording the first bit of the chunk, but let's just put it up on the screen now. I just chatted to Icthlorin at the entrance to Hets Oasis, but I can't go in and I can't start the Eye of Het quest because I don't have the prerequisites. There's also this lady here whose name is a nice pun on the Rosetta Stone, but nothing really else for me to do here right now. Back in Al Kharid, this guy Farouk sells weird nonsense like the Eye of Oculus. I also got this cool hat, which is the dueling cap. There is kind of a completionist element to this. You can use it to challenge someone to a duel, and it changes color if you win like 5,000 duels or something. Listen, it doesn't really matter, I'm not going to do this. The obvious reason is it's so cheesable. Like, what would I do? I just make an ult at level 3, kill the ult 5,000 times, and that's it. It's not like I can actually duel anybody. This is RS3, there's nobody to duel. No one does dueling in RS3. It's a mechanism for a minigame that doesn't exist. Like, I'm sorry if you're watching and you're the one person in RS3 who does PvP, but it's true. I mean, if it gave me a stat bonus, then sure, I'd kill an ult for 5,000 kills for a best in slot. I've already done worse, but just for a cosmetic hat? Nah, no thanks. I mean, the base hat does look pretty baller. It's a wide brim hat with a skull on it. Can't complain. Ali Morrisane here sells some random stuff. I don't think much of it is useful, at least not yet. He also lets me start the feud quest, somehow? Okay, I worked it out. So I can accept this, and that's it. I can't get down to Polivanich, which is the first step. He wants me to talk to his cousin or his uncle or his nephew or something. I've already forgotten. There's not much else here. There's a gem trader who never has any gems. I don't even know why this guy exists, to be honest. Look, it's tough doing business in Al Kharid, okay? Just ask the kebab guy. And there's the fire altar. I probably can get a fire talisman from somewhere, but I have no way of getting any essence for runes, nor can I get silver for a tiara. I've also unlocked 2 more easy clue steps, so that's a total of 5 easy clue steps unlocked this episode, which would over double my easy clue efficiency if I end up grinding them again. Alright, so once again, back to the chunk picker. Just a storm of chunks this episode. Just one new rollable chunk, chunk 9, which contains the Garden of Al Kharid, as well as the Al Kharid mine. It's pretty cool. The Garden of Al Kharid contains my first herb patch, potentially unlocking farming. That's not as big a deal as you might think. A lot of extreme chunk accounts treat farming as passive because it's time gated, so I might need to do that too. And from a herb lore point of view, the main issue isn't getting herbs actually, it's getting the secondaries that's the problem. But it's still interesting. It has the Crux Equal Knights, you can pickpocket them for herb seeds at level 83 thieving, so I need to grind out the thieving level, which is not trivial, but it wouldn't be too bad. And the Al Kharid mine itself has silver, gold, and gem rock, so I'd finally be able to start making and enchanting jewelry like amulets and rings. So yeah, all in all, not a bad chunk for me. I would have to look into the farming requirements a bit if I rolled it, see if it's something I need to do passively, or if I could just grind it out in a reasonable amount of time. I still feel like the worst chunk to get would be chunk 1, the defense cape chunk. I really do not want this. Not just because it would be long, but because it would be boring. There's no content to show at all really. Nothing I've got in this episode would really make the chunk any easier. I would just be grinding out level 99 defense at 60k XP per hour. There's a lot of like landmine chunks getting sorted up for me, chunks that look okay on the surface but could suddenly explode into death chunks if the wrong thing happens. The Caradet dig site if I unlock archaeology for example, or the Ripper demons if I unlock Slayer. There's even a cactus patch that could potentially screw me over in Al Kharid if I get access to cactus seeds. I'm just generally in like a really precarious position with this account at this point, where almost half the chunks now represent a massive grind if I roll them. But that's enough talking, time to roll. Please not the defense cape, please not the defense cape. Oof, okay. So we finally landed a chunk that is not a small chunk. Oh my god, 19 tasks. And these are not small. Okay, future smash here. I'm going to wait until next episode to start this chunk, but I want to quickly go over the main tasks by category. We have the Lumbridge Slayer Cave. This unlocks Slayer again, potentially meaning we can grind to 96 Slayer for Ripper Demons. It also opens up a similar herb lore grind as the Calphite Queen chunk, and I'll talk about this next episode, but that would be pretty obscene. We have Ripper Demons. I've already talked about them, but this is the worst grind in the chunk. Probably at least 500 hours or so to get their unique drops, could be a lot longer. That's not even factoring in how long it would take to get to level 96 Slayer. I'd be surprised if I can get more than 10k XP per hour in Slayer, so probably a 1000 hour grind just to get the level. And then we have the Shattered Worlds minigame. This is interesting. The chunk picker only lists Bladed Dive as a chunk task, which is a super useful ability you can unlock from the minigame reward shop. It costs 63 million shattered anima, where shattered anima is the minigame currency for this game. But if you think I should unlock every unique from the reward shop, then that would be more like 1.5 billion shattered anima, which I would guess is probably like 300 to 500 hours of progress. It would give me a lot of combat XP though. I think the reason the chunk picker only shows bladed dive might be because RS3's collection log is not as well developed as ORSR's, so a lot of the minigame rewards are not considered collection log slots. Anyway, if you add that all up, it's like easily 2,000 or 3,000 hours. I'm going to be real and say I probably will have to backlog at least some of this, but I'll talk more about that next episode. For now though, I do have an important question for you, the viewer. Can I actually get a light source in my chunks? I thought there was a candle cellar in Malumbridge Swamp, but it looks like he got removed after an unknown update. If I can't get a light source, I can't meaningfully interact with the Lumbridge Swamp Cave because you get forced back up a ladder a few seconds after going down, like in this clip. Which would, I guess, at least temporarily solve my herblore problem. But unfortunately, it does not solve my Slayer problem, as you can actually train Slayer in Shattered Worlds anyway. Well, that's it. I hope you guys liked the episode. Sorry it took a while. I had a bunch of stuff going on in real life. So peace out and see you next time.